What's up, everybody? It's your boy Big Papa JT. Back with you guys for another video. Before I begin, make sure to like the video and subscribe. Upload NFL videos and college football videos daily. So make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. So let's get into it. So I've been watching a lot of videos and reading a lot of articles. And these articles are about who should be the starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles going into the future. Nick Foles or Carson Wentz. Now, Nick Foles is a good backup quarterback, and Carson Wentz is a good quarterback, a good starting quarterback. In my opinion, I feel he was a top 10 quarterback. Even after the injury, I still feel he is a top 10 quarterback, despite the injury. But let me talk about Nick Foles. So Nick Foles, so far this season, has passed for 1,192 yards passing, 5 passing touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and he's completing 69.8% of his passes. What people do is they hype up players, they get excited, the media hypes these players up, and they spur up all these controversies. The thing is that Nick Foles is a good, solid backup quarterback. It's hard to find reliable backup quarterbacks that you can depend on to come to the game when your starting quarterback gets injured and produce, and not have to worry about trying to rush your starting quarterback into the game or trying to rush them back to playing the next game if they're not able to finish out the rest of the game. It does so much. It eases up pressure on the coaching staff. It eases up pressure on the offensive coordinator because they don't really have to switch around a lot of things. And although the Eagles, they do have to kind of change their scheme, their schematics. When Nick Foles is playing, they run a lot more RPOs than what they would do when Carson Wentz was playing. But they don't really have to adjust the scheme a lot. And it's hard to find reliable backup quarterbacks in the NFL. How many quarterbacks that are backups can you say? No, let me rephrase that. Think about your favorite team and tell me, if your backup quarterback had to start 5 games for your favorite team, would you be confident that they will be able to win 3 out of 5 of those games? A lot of people are going to say no, because it's hard to find solid backup quarterbacks. Now, the job of a backup quarterback is to be able to contribute and come in when you're called upon when the starting quarterback gets injured and has some kind of production. That's what Nick Foles is. He's not the quarterback of the future. He's not a guy who you're going to build a franchise around. He's just a guy that you can depend on. Now, Carson Wentz, on the other hand, who before his injury, he had 3,074 passing yards, 21 passing touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and he completed 69.6% of his passes. Carson Wentz is the future. The Philadelphia Eagles a few years ago spent the first round pick on him. Took a gamble because a lot of people thought him coming out of a small school, he wouldn't be that good, all this and that. And he turned out being way, way better than what Jared Goff was, until Sean McVay came and gave Jared Goff a resurgence, or brought him back from bust status, because that's what Jared Goff was, a bust, until Sean McVay came and revived him. Carson Wentz last year could have just as easily taken the Philadelphia Eagles to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl, just like Nick Foles did. And people forget that Carson Wentz was basically a lock-in, sure-in NFL MVP. It was no debate, no discussion. He would have won MVP last year if he never got injured. And they definitely would have went to the Super Bowl if he never got injured last year. So I know Nick Foles won the Super Bowl. I know he was Super Bowl MVP. I know he's 3-1, 4-1 as the starter this year. But that's what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to be doing this. I mean, that's what your backup quarterback is there for, to be able to contribute when your starting quarterback goes down and be relied upon. Now, for all those who think that Nick Foles should be the starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles when Carson Wentz is to return, I think you need to be drug tested, because Carson Wentz is obviously better than Nick Foles. He has a better arm talent. He's better athletically. He's just the better overall quarterback. It's just the way that the Philadelphia Eagles adjust their scheme. People in the media, fans, they tend to hype up every time a quarterback starts going off. Every time a backup quarterback starts going off, they stir up all these controversies that aren't really controversies. It's no real controversy here. Carson Wentz is the franchise quarterback of the Eagles going forward. Yeah, Nick Foles is successful when he comes in, but let's not act like the Philadelphia Eagles totally, you can just plug and place him in and he does excellent. The Philadelphia Eagles have to adjust their offensive schemes, and that's what good NFL coaching staffs are able to do. They're able to adjust their schemes to the strengths of the quarterback and adjust their schemes to what the quarterback does best. And what Nick Foles is best at is running RPOs with what he ran at Chip Kelly, because when Chip Kelly had Nick Foles as his quarterback, Nick Foles had 27 touchdowns and I believe only 7 interceptions, and Nick Foles was a Pro Bowler that year. Most NFL coaching staffs fail to utilize their quarterback strengths, well, their backup quarterback strengths. We saw this a few years ago with Bill Belichick when Tom Brady went down with that season and then ACL injury, I believe it was, and Matt Castle came in and led the Kansas City Chiefs to the playoffs. You didn't really hear a controversy there, and then he went to Kansas City and then he was boo-boo. If Nick Foles was to go to any other team, he wouldn't be as good as he is with the Philadelphia Eagles, because it's the coaching staff. Yeah, Nick Foles is executing, but the coaching staff is putting him into position to execute. Therefore, Carson Wentz, if you put him on any other team, he would be just as good as what he is with the Philadelphia Eagles. Big arm, strong, and can run. He would be pretty good with any other team. So, going forward, Carson Wentz is the starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles in the future. Yeah, Nick Foles is nice, but he's not Carson Wentz. He's just a good, reliable option. There's nothing wrong with having, just because you have a good starting backup, a good backup quarterback that's good enough that he can have the same production as a starter, doesn't mean he is the franchise quarterback. That's what a backup quarterback is supposed to do. Nick Foles is supposed to be doing this. He's supposed to be winning games. He's supposed to be executing. I mean, if he wasn't, why have him on the team? So that's it for this video. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Make sure to like the video and subscribe.